The Broken Fathers podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal advice. If you are going through the family law court process, particularly as a father, then this podcast may be relevant to what you may experience. Some things we discuss in these episodes may be triggering, and if you suffer from any form of mental health related conditions or subject to domestic or family violence and need any assistance, then please call 1-800-RESPECT and Lifeline. The views and experiences discussed by people on our show are not necessarily the views and opinions of Broken Fathers podcast or their guest speakers. We strongly advise you seek your own independent legal and professional advice, as the Broken Fathers podcast will not be liable, answerable, or accountable for any loss or damage or litigation resulting from discussions on our platform. Right, this podcast is now in session. Hold on, guys. The judge is running late to court. So whilst we wait, I'd like to take this moment to acknowledge our platinum sponsor, Straight Up Construction. At Straight Up Construction, they take pride in delivering high-end work across every trade. From new builds to renovations, no job is too big or too small. Director Luke Miller and his dedicated team tackle every project with integrity, hard work, honesty, and a commitment to delivering superior quality results every time. Straight Up Construction is built on the belief that strong foundations matter just as much in the bones of a home as they do in the heart of one. Families should stand strong, and every loving parent should maintain their right to be a part of their children's lives. Straight Up Construction believes that in true Aussie spirit, everyone deserves a fair go. That's why we're proud to have Straight Up Construction as our platinum sponsor. With their support, we continue to produce the Broken Fathers podcast and shine a light on the struggles of men who have been let down by the system. Hey everyone, unfortunately I had to edit out the segment featuring the broken father from this episode, as it was filmed 4 months ago and he is now involved in open court proceedings. However, my other guest shares valuable insights and knowledge about the court system, which I'm very excited for everyone to hear. Now, due to these edits, the episode may feel a bit disjointed at times, but I appreciate your understanding. Good morning, Broken Fathers listeners. On today's episode, for the first time ever, not only am I joined with a broken father, I'm actually joined with his lawyer. In front of me today, Torik Dib. He's a 29-year-old criminal and family lawyer on the Gold Coast. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Mate, maybe we'll just before we jump into the whole family court and law side of things, mate, just for the listeners at home, if you're happy to, mate, just to get a little bit about you, mate. Where were you born? Where'd you grow up? And maybe how'd you get into law?
I was born on the Gold Coast.
Yep.
Grew up here with my family.
Yep.
My brothers were born in Sydney.
Yep.
My parents were born in Lebanon.
Yep.
So they came here. They had a hard life when they first came here.
Yep.
They struggled. They made ends meet. We've got 6 siblings altogether. One of my brothers passed away. So now we've got 5.
Yep.
And one of my brothers got into boxing when he was about 18.
Yep.
And so we moved down to Sydney so that he could train and the whole family could stay together. So we lived there for a little bit.
Yep.
I ended up getting married there and so on and so forth. My brother got married and kind of set up families and so on. So half of them stayed there and then half of them moved back up here.
And we spoke before, you're related to Billy Dib, the boxer?
Billy Dib as well, yeah. My brother's actually Billy Dib. So my brother's name is Bilal Dib, and Billy Dib, Billy the Kid and Billy Babyface.
Oh, okay.
So both boxers. My brother was Pan Pacific Oceanic champion, and my cousin was 2-time world champion.
Yeah, wow.
So
there you go.
Bit of a boxing. My other brother was a boxer as well, was an Australian champion.
Did you ever get into boxing?
I had amateur fights.
Oh, did you?
So,
man. Down in Sydney?
Here.
Where were you training when you were here?
So I was training with a guy named Ashley. My brother and I started together. It was back in the Ashmore PCYC.
Oh yeah.
That's where we first started. There was a cage on the end and there was always boys. Yeah. We started there and then we moved to Sydney. So all my amateur fights were up here.
Yep, beautiful.
And then moved there and then I was studying still, got into uni. My brother opened up a law firm in Sydney. So
is that what made you get into law?
That's what. So originally I was in more medicine.
Okay.
And then my brother had his law firm for like 3 years by that point, and him and I were speaking like every day. I was seeing his cases and so on and so forth. And then I did a switch. There was actually an article written about like the whole little background about what happened there in Sydney.
Okay.
And I ended up getting into law. I learned from him. He's a criminal lawyer.
Yep.
So very early on, I learned from him, and then I kind of moved up to Queensland. I started family law, and then kind of did both of them. So
yeah, cool, mate. Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. It's the first time we've had a lawyer on, so I'd love to pick your brain on the system and how things work, but also your view, and probably you've had a lot of clients. So you do family and criminal.
That's right. Yeah.
That's right. Which one's more painful?
Family.
What family? Yeah.
By far.
By far.
Yeah, because family is more personal. and
Emotions.
whatever happens to the person that I'm representing could happen to me. And that's a lot of the time that's the case. And a lot of times they don't do anything wrong, and then you just think to yourself, all right, if I was in that situation, same thing would happen to me.
Is a lot of your clients fathers or mothers?
No, it's actually pretty even.
Pretty even?
Yeah.
Do you feel it's easier representing mothers in court, in the family court, than it is fathers trying to get a result?
Yeah.
I've had a lot of lawyers say the same thing.
They won't say it's because of the gender. Nobody's going to say that.
No,
ever.
of course not.
They'll say domestic violence. It'll be because of the difference in build or body size, stuff like that. That's
tattoos, the way you look.
Yeah. Or rather than saying the children be with the mother, they'll say things like, well, the children are in the care of the mother right now, and that's the ordinary routine.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So when you start the process, it's more about where the children are and things like that moving forward. And a lot of the times they're with the mother.
Yeah.
So it makes it a lot easier if you have care from the very get-go. And there are some people that have done strategic things to make sure that they have care.
It's a tactical game, in my opinion. Would you say, has there ever been a case, or what would you say the percentage is, and you'd have to sort of guess that, when it comes to representing a father in family court, how many of those cases involve DV?
Come on.
Okay, so let me reword that. You know what? There's a recent news article came out it involved Bettina Art, who I'm involved with now, and she talks to two QPS officers, and they hid the names because they're whistleblowers, and they're talking about how unjust the DV system is. And they talk about how there's like, what would you call a cheat code or an instruction guide, and it says, and I'll say, for mothers in particular, if you go to family court, rule number 1 or instruction number 1, put a DVO on this person because it's going to help you get the momentum swing straight away in family court.
Yep.
And then, instruction number 2, allegations of child safety, instruction number 3. And all the files that I've had on, it's the same repetition, the same routine, the same outcome. And
if I can say, it's a very difficult situation. Criminal law, for example, you asked which ones. Yeah, crime is criminal law is simpler in the sense that there are legislations about the offences that you can commit, the elements of the offences, the penalties that are associated with them, defences that are available, stuff like that.
yeah,
With family law, it's such a complex system because every family is different. Every father is different. Every child is different. There are similarities, but there are also many differences. Each person is unique. Every crime is the exact same, if that makes sense. In terms of the elements, an importation today is an importation tomorrow, and then you have to prove those elements.
It's black and white?
More black and white. The criminal lawyer's job is to try and make things a little bit more grey a lot of the time. But in terms of as an area of practice, it's more black and white than family is. Because family is more based on discretion, based on the discretion of the magistrate, what they think, what their opinion is, based on risks and balanced probabilities rather than proving beyond a reasonable doubt. And so you end up being on the back foot very early on. And it's a difficult situation. You're going to have an imperfect solution to it, but the solution could be a lot better than it is now. And I had one woman, I was telling you this just before we came on, that she called me and she said, "Oh, my brother's a police officer, and he told me that if I'm speaking to my ex on the phone for a minute, and then I hang up and call the police, and I start screaming and crying, and I go in there and I've got scratches on me, do you think that I'm going to get the kids?" I'm like, why would I answer that question? What? Do you know what you're telling me? At least try and fake it. If you're going to be that kind of wicked kind of person, at least try and fake it. And she was shocked when I said, I won't represent that. Who would represent that?
Yeah, that's right.
And she couldn't even believe it. It shows you it's the rite of passage. You can start with DV and then it goes to family and then it snowballs. Child safety is where you don't want to be.
Yeah.
That's I think, me personally, out of DV, out of family court and child safety, the last place I want to be.
That's right. I just had someone comment recently on a post I did, and she said that her son dated someone who worked for child safety, and she would overhear her on the phone telling her clients what to say to get child safety involved to restrict them from seeing the kids, And would you agree on this? Or this is my opinion. And I say this because I went to DV trial, and I actually, to be honest, I thought I had a female judge, and I thought, here we go, I'm going to get slammed, But she saw it for what it was. she asked me a question I could openly answer, and she application dismissed. I think that's correct terminology. So they put a DV on her. She accepted that CCTV footage of her assaulting me, but the application on me, I think that's the right terminology. That's when I was fighting, and she saw the evidence and she threw it out. I think it's dismissed is the word. I feel for me in the criminal court, you're innocent until proven guilty, but for me in the family court, I'm guilty until proven innocent. I know you might not be a comment. That's my opinion on how I
would actually go further.
Yeah.
I would say in both courts you're guilty until proven innocent, because you're talking about bail.
Hey guys, just a quick shout out to our gold sponsors. MCH Industries are a mining maintenance specialist company supplying solutions to the coal mining industry in the Bowen Basin and regional New South Wales. They supply superintendents, supervisors, leading hands, diesel fitters, tyre fitters, auto electricians, HV electricians, and trade assistants to assist. The mining one-stop shop for mechanical trades. MCH Industries are always looking for good blokes to jump on the team, so check out their Instagram for more details. And are you looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? There's only one name that's been leading the way for over 123 years, Ray White. Ray White isn't just another real estate brand. It's a family business built on ambition, trust, and leadership. Today, it stands as the largest real estate group in Australasia, connecting people with homes and investments across the country. Whether you're a first-time buyer, a seasoned investor, or looking for that perfect home, Ray White is committed to delivering authentic, local expertise. Because real estate isn't just about properties, it's about people, communities, and futures. And when it comes to trusted leadership, meet Alex Ilyan, an ex-Army veteran turned dedicated real estate agent. Alex knows what it means to serve, to strategize, and to get the job done. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or just have questions, Alex is here to guide you every step of the way, servicing the Geelong, Bellarine, and Surf Coast areas. Ray White, the name you can trust in real estate. But what happened to the days that you're innocent until proven guilty?
Well, the criminal system is based on bail is the first phase of every criminal system, and so you take the Lacey principle, which is take the Crown case at its highest, and then you disprove points, but you take the Crown case at its highest. So you kind of take the opposite onus in terms of not a show cause situation, but like you're trying to ameliorate risks rather than disproving the Crown case. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And in family court, it's a lot of risk as well. That's why in my mind, a criminal lawyer's mind when it comes to bail is kind of similar to a family lawyer's mind when it comes to the initial stage of a family law proceeding or the DV proceeding or a child safety proceeding, because it's all about risk. And so they take the risks at their highest. That's an extreme position, I think.
And I hear judges all the time say, I need to lean, I think there's a term like that, I need to lean on caution here. I think that's how they say it.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'll get out of, how do I use this in examples elsewhere? People learn tactics and they go, righto, if I've put a child abuse allegation against him, they have to investigate. And that's, regardless. That's in my opinion. So that's going to sink him. That's going to put him in mud or quicksand, and that's going to slow him down. So I'm just going to throw these child abuse allegations. That's going to restrict him from seeing his daughter. And in the meantime, I'll kick back and laugh, as in the other side, while he gets investigated. So all these constant allegations that slow you down, hurt or slow you down. There's never any evidence. Well, not for me there was. And I think people learn the system. They learn how to use the system to their advantage. And that needs, I think any child abuse allegation needs to be investigated. So it was whether it's your kid or your kid, absolutely. But this is the thing. People learn that tactic and go, well, regardless, there has to be investigated, So,
It's an extreme perspective. And when you take that and place it into reality, it doesn't work because it breaks families apart.
Correct.
It causes emotional rifts between relationships that will never mend over time, even if you're an ex-partner of one another. But at the same time, people also have to appreciate that this system is so big that there are so many different people that are involved in it that sometimes, for example, you might go through child safety and you just have somebody that's an absolute F-wit, on the other side, and that's the person that do it. And that's a lot of the times. But somebody like him, for example, does the same thing and somebody else is on the other side and that person says, oh, no, you can care for your children.
Yeah.
But then his hurdle is going to be DV court, so some F-wit is going to be on the other side. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not always the same. Sorry, I can't say these words, can I?
Yeah, fuck.
Oh,
you can say, yeah, we can swear, bro.
That's why I wasn't sure.
We can say.
I was like,
we can swear, bro.
comfortable, and I'm like, it's not always the same phase that everybody gets stuck up on, but it's because the whole system is geared towards that eventually some part of the phase you're going to get stuck.
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah,
make
yeah,
sense?
yeah.
And then that causes, like, in my job, I feel like family law actually is the first phase of some people's criminal law, because it was the system that failed them and their families that were broken apart and the exposure, that negative influences that they were exposed to at early ages when they were vulnerable. And then the drug use, and then the criminal behavior or alleged criminal behavior, and then that's later in their life. Do you know what I mean? Like, but if the system was there from the beginning, not always, you won't solve everything, but you could have solved a lot of problems.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel, the family court's supposed to be doing what's best for the children, but I failed to see that, to be honest, and I just feel it's so hard for a father. Like, I remember when they asked me in court, what do you want? I said 50-50. They looked at me like I was asking for a heart transplant.
How old are your kids?
My daughter turns 4 in April. So actually, you might be able to, correct me on this. When we split, my daughter was 6 months old, and what my legal team told me, and hopefully I can get this wording right, they said, listen, you're not going to get a sleepover with your daughter until she's over 2. And I said, why? And this is before we even filed for family court. They just warned me. They said, because the way the courts viewed it is because the child's under 2, they class those first 2 years as a nurturing phase for the mother. So they don't want to separate the child. So, so I think this is another tactic they use. So my ex stopped breastfeeding at 3 months. So when we split, my daughter was on the bottle. We ended up in court finally when she was 10 months, so 4 months later. Now, all of a sudden, once we're back in court, my ex is claiming that she's breastfeeding again and she has to breastfeed every 2 hours. And I think that's a tactic to go, well, he can only have 1 hour.
Yes.
So I think that's a tactic.
Yes. It's an advantage that they've got biologically that they're using against them.
Right, yeah. So, I say that's for all fathers listening.
But at the same time, when their child's a newborn, the child, I believe, should be with the mother.
Yep.
And then after even a year, then there are times where you can have overnight stays, I think, with the father, and practically it works out completely fine. And there's no issues with it, and like most parents won't have issues with it if they're not through the family law system.
Yeah.
But the first 6 months, I think it's fair to say that the child should be staying with the mother overnight, but spending time with the father on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And regular electronic even, for example, if your child is young and they're not speaking, just a FaceTime call, they're not going to be on there for half an hour or 60 minutes, just a few minutes.
Bro, I'm so glad you brought that up. I asked for FaceTime. So for listeners at home, no 2 cases are the same. I was dealing with a partner that said no to everything. Some people might go, well, my friend went to court and they did this. I'm like, well, that's great. They obviously agreed to something. I was dealing with someone, maybe same as you. She said no to everything. No to an extra hour. No to my parents seeing our daughter. No. Like, said no to everything. That's what I was dealing with. It was my daughter's second Christmas, and I asked for FaceTime. And the judge just said, his words were, it's no big deal. She can't even talk anyway. So, and I wish that judge...
Was it a judge?
It was a judge, bro.
Actual judge?
Actual judge.
Not a registrar?
Not a judge. I'll tell you his name after this, yeah. And he's a judge. He can't get a word in. You cannot... He loves to listen and tell. He will just talk and talk. You can't get a word in. Brisbane, yep. And I just wanted to get up and say, I wish we could change seats to see how you would feel if I restricted you, And, because my daughter's high-level autistic, sensory processing disorder, speech delay, it's like, oh, well, it's no big deal. Like, she's not going to remember it anyway. Like, well, I'll remember it. I don't care if she can't talk. That's a 60-second live stream that I get to see my daughter. That's a memory for me, And, this judge in particular really grinded my gears. For me to get out of supervision, and I remember this clear as day. I've said it on my episode, I'll say it again. For me to get out of supervision, he said, I want a report from your doc, a report from your psych, and the supervision notes. No worries. I'm doing anything I can to see my daughter. I'm running around. So you want an A, B, and C. I said, you know what? I got to come back in 3 months. I went and got an A, B, and C. And in the meantime, when I'm at home staring at the ceiling, I'm thinking, what else can I be doing? So I said, you know what? I'm going to go do another hair and follicle test. Pay for it on my own. $800, wherever it is. Because, they're probably just going to ask for another one. So, and then I went and it was recommended from the family report writer that I do the men's behavioural program. Because
you followed all the recommendations?
Everything. There's not one thing I didn't do.
Family report or child expert report?
Family report. It was a family report writer, yep. There's not one thing I did not do. So just to give everyone a background, I did the Triple P positive program course, the Circle of Security course, the Men's Behavioural Change Program. I did 2 drug and alcohol tests. I was working FIFO in the mine, so I used to get randomly tested. I did another 5 random drug and alcohol tests, all submitted, all passed. Did all these courses, passed everything. I got a psych report, no concerns. A doc report, no concerns. I got the supervision.
Let me ask me, what's the issue?
I got the supervision, no concerns. I went to the judge that day. He wanted A, B, and C. I came 3 months later. Here's a doc report, psych report, supervision notes, no concerns, and another DNA test, passed, and men's behavioural program. I walked in head high, bulletproof. This is it. Time to get my daughter. He said, I haven't had time to read this, but I swear on my daughter's life, I haven't had time to read this. Come back in 2 months. Bro, who are you? I'm a law-abiding citizen. I'm here at the time you gave me, all suited up. On this day, you want an A, B, and C, I got it for you. And you can't adhere to your roles and responsibilities? You can't read the thing? I'm wasting time and money. I'm missing out on time with my daughter. And because you don't have your shit together? Bro, luckily the ICL was pretty lazy. She got involved that week and sent a letter to both sides saying I got no concerns with the father seeing the unsupervised because she obviously read everything.
Mm-hmm. Did you get that?
I get it. You know,
On the day?
And did who?
On the day?
No, she sent it like 2 days later.
Oh, the mother didn't consent?
The mother didn't didn't consent.
Even with the ICL?
No, the ICL sent that letter and my legal team said it'll be pretty bad if she doesn't agree because thing, and so she agreed. But, you know, that's who I was dealing with. A judge said, come back, don't have time. Bro, like, sorry? You know, like, you're up there playing God and you don't even have your stuff together. Like, so yeah, the only thing that went against me in the family court was a family report. And I before I even saw her, I ran my lawyer show. I said, there's something wrong here. I knew it. In my opinion, she's a feminist. I rolled the dice. I said, instead of getting a private, this is one of the mistakes, and I tell listeners, always, in my opinion, pay for a private one. Yeah, it's going to cost you. You don't have to wait ages. I was burning through money. I said, you know what, I'll get the court-appointed one. Biggest mistake. This report was all based on hearsay allegations. It all supported her DV allegations, and she supported my ex relocating to England with my daughter. Yep. Now, there was one clause in there. The first family report came back, and the recommendations were that my daughter lives with the mother, that the father completes Circle of Security parenting program, that if the current court determines there has been family violence perpetrated by the father, that the mother is given permission to relocate my daughter to the United Kingdom, that the writer also recommends that the father completes men's behavioural program, and that our daughter remains supervised visits, blah, blah. Number 4, the last point. If the court determines that there has not been family violence, then the writer is unable to make a recommendation about the proposed relocation, having outlined the advantages and disadvantages of each party's proposal. However, in this scenario, it is recommended that the visit remains supervised until the father completes the program. So guess what? We got a DV trial. I'll squash it. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't need to be a lawyer to know we need to update the family report because this is that number 4. It gets thrown out. We talked to ICL. Hey, we need to update the family report. Oh, no, it's fine. We don't need one. Bro. Fast track, 6 months later, we finally go to trial. The day of trial, the morning of trial, we get to court. Not my ex, not us. The ICL wants it adjourned. She wants an updated family report.
Oh, after 6 months.
Bro. You know, this is what I want listeners to know. Like, this is what I was dealing with.
And now they're triple booking trials by practice direction.
So that day of trial, they were double booked. And I said, how can you be... This is booked for me.
When was that? That would have been over a year ago?
August, September last year.
Yeah, now triple.
See, and correct me if I'm wrong, they do that hoping that the previous case is going to be done by then or get pulled. So because they're so backed out, they're trying to fast track it.
They're just, they don't want any spare time, so that they would rather get 2 other families all there. I just went down to Sydney for a family law trial. It was a 3-day trial. Everybody was there. It was one involving the mum, the dad, and the maternal grandmother. All the witnesses for the maternal grandmother was there. The witness for the mother was there. The witness for the father was there. The other side, both other sides had barristers. We were ready to go. Everyone was ready to go, bro. Everything was planned. Everything. We had even told the court that the lawyer is traveling for this purpose. Get there. You know what he chooses? What the worst part was? Is that there were 3 options. Our option, another option which just had the lawyers and the parties and they didn't have any witnesses. So obviously we look like the better candidate because we've got so many people. And the third option was a lawyer that didn't rock up for the client and organise another lawyer from a different firm to rock up for the client to act as an agent to adjourn the trial.
Is that a tactic?
Maybe, I don't know enough about the case, but I know what I saw in front of me. And what I saw in front of me was the judge said no to the agent and you will do the trial now instead. And so he got a random lawyer that doesn't represent somebody to do a final trial in the family court on the spot, asking questions to witnesses, while both other families and all the witnesses waited there. And then it gets to the end of the day and he goes, I can't do it because you guys are 3 days and even if I get tomorrow and the day after, I won't be able to do it. I'm like, man, like you had, like that was a clear-cut shot. Like you could have just...
Bro, this is what I mean. This is what I want people to know, that are either going to court like this is what you got to expect. Like, they get away with murder, you know, in my opinion.
Court.
Yeah.
Court, but the one that I told you about yesterday, how could you... I know, like, I feel like the fathers in Australia right now are running the same race. You might be, for example, Australian, or you could be African, or you could be Middle Eastern, or you could be Asian. As long as you're a father, you're still running the same race. It's just that different nationalities have different issues. Like yesterday, for example, was a guy that is of Egyptian descent but is an Australian citizen.
Yep.
There's no concerns, there's no issues. There was an allegation of DV. It's not like violent or aggressive or physical or anything like that. All of a sudden, he's not allowed to go see his kids. The mum hasn't had involvement in a year and a half. The kids live with him full time. Why? Because there's not apparently a risk of coming back, returning to Australia. Nobody's enlivened that risk. Nobody's put that risk on the material. Nobody's mentioned the risk. Nobody said anything. I said, what's the difference between him and every other person that comes to Australia with a different descent? Nothing. It's the country. I was like, how could you...
Yeah.
You can't even say... I can't say the judge's name. You can't say the judge's name. You can't criticise...
I want to, but yeah.
But you can't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we have to show great deference to the court. And there are many judicial officers that are very good judicial officers. But at the end of the day, human nature is human nature. And unless you have... Our biggest problem, and I think that... You know, you said, how do you change the system? And I think that the only way to change the system is by doing at least somewhat of what America did, and introducing an ethical or a judicial conduct committee that oversees judicial officers. Right now, they have free reign to do whatever they want. It's a court. Nobody can criticize them. Nobody can say anything. Nobody can appeal it. Like, what are you going to do?
Kind of like someone that would review, we'll go NRL, for example, or the referees, they get, so there's someone high up them, they make sure if they haven't refereed a game right, they get pulled aside. Hey, you made some bad calls here. Kind of like that, right?
Yeah.
There's always someone hired to, hey, you need a bit of training. You need to be...
But if you don't have that...
Everyone gets away with murder. You just do this, do that.
You look at different magistrates' courts and you look at some magistrates, for example, are the most appealed magistrates, without dropping names.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure anybody that knows anything about courts in Queensland will know exactly who I'm talking about already. Some magistrates are the most appealed magistrates in the state, explicitly on record say, I don't have to listen to senior judges. And that gets before the senior judge, and that senior judge criticises him, and he still says the same thing the next day, and continues to say the same thing. Like, where's the conduct committee? Where's the ethical judicial? Where's the overseeing board? Right now, you have to go get Labor and Liberal to get in the Parliament House to try and get rid of a judge. Like,
what's your thoughts on this? There's been times where, you know, I had the DV trial and the family trial at the same times, and they said, oh, let's just wait to see what judge we get, because depending on what judge we get determines how we're going to attack this. I'm thinking, well, isn't that a red flag in itself? Shouldn't judges just be black and white? Like, shouldn't matter where we got old mate or female, male judges. They should just see it for what it is. But getting a certain judge like, oh, we're going to have to try and attack it this way, I'm thinking, well, isn't that... I don't know, that's a red flag for me. Like, it should just be... Doesn't matter what judge we get, you know? I don't know.
The best lawyers aren't the lawyers that just go there and are the best at advocating on the spot. It's the lawyer that puts you in the best position possible at that time. So not only is the material explains everything and responds to everything, before you walk in, you could be in a better position or a worse position, just off the get-go. Like, you could be prepared or not prepared.
Yeah, okay.
And if you're in front of a certain judge, unfortunately, the reality of the situation is that you need to cater to that judge's perspective and what that judge specifically wants. And sometimes, obviously, as a solicitor, you can't judge shop.
There's certain okay, yeah, I got you. So there's certain judges that might, at that certain part in court, say that, you know, the one I had, that he wanted A, B, and C. You know that there's a judge that might want A and B, and if you get A and B, that's going to get it across the line. Where there might be a judge like A, B, and C, and you get it, but you know, I want it.
Can I give a criminal example?
Yeah, go.
criminal example,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
The import,
Yep.
13 guys charged,
Yep.
2 different courthouses, different magistrates. I think there were 3 magistrates. One said, for example, risk of failing to appear. The other one said, I'm not concerned about a risk of failing to appear, it's a risk of obstructing witnesses. The other one said, I'm not worried about a risk of obstructing witnesses, it's a risk of reoffending.
Three.
Same case, same facts, different opinion.
Brought this up with another father. I take my dog to a vet or a pet barn. We'll say vet. What food should I be giving my specific breed here, my American XL Bully? 5 subject matter experts. I go to 5 vets, 5 subject matter experts. They give me 5 different opinions. How could I get? This is a specific breed. You're a subject matter expert. How can I get 5 different answers? Oh no, he should be eating this. I go, no, he should be. What? You know what I mean?
Yeah, same thing.
Same thing in court, right?
Yeah. So it's from a lawyer's perspective, the recent ones, it's interesting because when you have a case where you've got more than like 5 or 10 co-accused, then you end up having like around 5, 6 lawyers in it. And everyone's trying to do the same thing at the very beginning. So you're seeing, for example, this lawyer's doing that strategy and this lawyer's talking, do you understand what I'm saying? And you're all talking to each other, saying this guy does this guy does this. Why do you have it like that if it was just black and white? Do you know what I mean? Everybody has a different strategy for that reason. Some guys trying to get on this date for a certain reason, you know? If it's obvious like what the reason is. Some trying to get in front of this court for a certain reason. Sometimes, you know, in the afternoon rather than the morning.
Yeah.
But how do you change that? Let's say, for example, you controlled the system. I think the only way that you could possibly change that is by changing the society. Like, because I think that if you have a society that's degrading and you pick a judicial officer out of that, it's not going to be you picking a judicial officer out of an amazing... Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I think more... like when I was a kid, I feel like there were more morals and ethics and in the community and people were more ethical. I think people are just doing whatever they want these days. It's just whatever suits me, whatever's best for me. But you've got to think about it in terms of the community. And if judges thought like that, if judges thought what's in the... I'm not saying that they don't, I'm an officer of the court, but a judge should think to themselves, I am doing a service for the community. I've been placed in a position of honor that I can serve my community and I can make these decisions. You know what I mean? You should be honored by the position. And because you're so honored by the position, you should want to give back as much as you can to the community. So when you look at those 3 trials, you look at the one and say, you know what, it's going to help all of those people more than it's going to help these 2. I don't want to do what I want to do. I want to try and help the best. Do you get what I'm saying? It's a different perspective. You're not doing a 9-to-5 job. You're serving the community. You need to serve.
How does someone become a judge?
You're nominated by the judges.
So do you have to be a lawyer first?
Yeah.
So give us
you have to be a lawyer first?
Because I don't know how someone becomes, like, you obviously practice, you don't just go to uni and become a judge, right? You must have to, I don't know, how does someone...
No, when you're literally becoming a judge is like becoming a silk, you get nominated. So you get nominated by the silks, you get nominated by the judges.
Well, what's a silk?
Silk is like a King's Council.
Okay. Yeah, so the old Queen's Council, King's Council now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Queen...
And what's the process for that? Do you know? They attend...
Nominated as well.
Nominated.
They're nominated as well. So the silks, so the KCs or SCs if you're in Sydney or Victoria, they are so you have, for example, a junior barrister and then you have a junior counsel, senior counsel. Yeah? Senior counsel is like KCs, silks. They nominate each other from a smaller group of people. So they'll look at the juniors and they'll say, okay, after 10, 15, 20, 30 years, this guy's a really good candidate and then he'll be a silk. When it comes to a judge, you can have magistrates, for example, that nominate you to be a magistrate. And you could be a magistrate and then get nominated, for example, for a judge's position and then move up to the district court, for example. But it's just nomination.
What's the 4 courts here? You got magistrate, supreme, something and high? So,
Magistrates, district, supreme.
Yeah. Is there 4 different courts, 4 different levels?
State-wise, it's magistrate, district, supreme. Then you've got the High Court, which oversees all. And then you've got the Federal Circuit and Family Court of Australia. I
don't know if you know this, and then this is just a street gossip, when someone was saying, you know, magistrate judges start off at like 300 grand a year and it goes something like that. Yeah. High courts on, I don't know, maybe...
I can't know how much the High Court is on. I would say about 600, 700 a year. I think district court, I heard something like... I've never actually Googled it myself, I've heard other lawyers say like they're on 400 grand a year and Supreme Court justices are like 500 grand a year. I've never actually gone and looked at it myself. I don't think I would want to be... I would want to be a judge in a system that I'm happy to implement the rules and the procedures of that system. So once the system's like that, then I would want to.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Before you attend family court, I think the rule is you have to attend mediation, but there's some there's some exemptions.
Parenting.
Parenting.
Before you start parenting family court,
Yeah. So I think DV's one of them. So obviously, me and my ex had DV stuff, so we just bypassed mediation, went straight to family court. Is that how it works? The family court want you to try mediation first.
They want to try 100%. Yeah. They take a no-fault divorce-based system rather than America, and they say that you should mandatory mediation. Try and organise it.
And mediation, I've never done it, but
You've never done it?
No, we went straight to family court. I mean, this was a person that said no to everything. I think it would have been a waste of time anyway. But from the sounds of other fathers that come on, a lot of people say mediation was a waste of time. Now, I've never done it, but I mean, how mediation works, are there ever times where you can have both the mother and the father in the same room? Or are they always in separate rooms? Because I just thought if there's DVs in place and one's in one room, one's in the other, and someone's just walking back and forth from room to room, that's like sending an email. You know what I mean?
I think I probably deal with it a little bit different to majority of people in the sense that if there's a way to resolve something that goes outside the norm or the procedure, then I'll try and do that. And if that includes sitting down without a mediator to try and just talk to the person, or just creating like a group and speaking to the parties directly, just like normal people, and trying to like organize that without being a mediator, you get what I'm saying? Then I'll try and do that. If the parties agree to that, which some of them do, then I find that is very successful, because then you can just speak to each other like normal people, and then the lawyer kind of humanizes the situation and just speaks, casually and stuff like that. Now, if you go to a mediation, the majority of times, even without a DV, it's a shuttle mediation where you have the group with the mediator, and then before COVID, it was in person. You have two officers, blah blah blah. But now they're just shuttled, so it goes from one meeting group to the other meeting group to you know what I mean, and you just shuffle between groups. There are some that have it together. I actually find even the amicable ones, when it's together, it's actually not a good idea, because there's some things you can't stop someone saying in the heat of the moment,
emotions,
and that kind of aggravates it. So that's mediation can be successful. The problem is that for fathers, what it ends up being is their vulnerable stage is the beginning of the family law proceeding, which is the mediation. So if you can get a woman that's on the other side that's at least reasonable or relatively reasonable, if that makes sense, in the grand scheme. Not that women are not reasonable in general, but I'm saying, do you get what I'm saying? Like in that situation, if you can get one that is reasonable, then you can have a proper. Like I had mediation last week. She was unreasonable. She was like, "Oh, if you're gonna have international travel with the children, then when you go with the children, I want to be on the flight with you to the country that you're traveling to, and then the day that you guys come back, I'll fly to that country. I'll get on that flight and come back. That way, you never have the children's passports in your hands." And I'm like, "Are you?" And then she the biggest one, the kick in the balls, was that she goes, "And you pay for half my flight." And I actually looked at her and I said, I couldn't help myself. You just kick them in the balls, like with that offer. Don't even offer it. That's actually...
don't bother. The audacity.
For you to offer that is you're slapping them in the face, bro. Like if you want to do that. So that when you have that kind of stuff, we were able to come up with an agreement. It went back and forth, and we came up with an agreement. Or it looks like we came up with an agreement. It's shaky. Even afterwards, it can still be shaky unless you get it signed. It's never agreement until it's signed. But mediation, unfortunately, is a situation where sometimes one party can bully the other because they have the children.
That's right.
And nobody's going to know about it because it's without prejudice. It's a good thing it's without prejudice, so you can feel comfortable to say what you want to say. But at the same time, the other party can just bully you. And you can't say nothing about it. When you go to court, you can't say nothing about it. Can't even mention it.
Mate, real quickly, Hague Convention. Yeah. Can we talk about that? Yeah. Just real quick, because the way I was taught, so lead up to trial, my ex wanted to take my daughter to England for a 2-week holiday. And my argument was she's not going to come back. And they're like, well, there's a Hague Convention, blah, blah.
How does that stop anyone? You go from the Hague to non-Hague.
That's what I mean. So now, let's just say, for example, we never got to that. Let's just say the judge did award her to go for a 2-week holiday and she didn't come back. Now, again, I'm in the unknown. I would assume, well, she didn't come back, the government's going to go retrieve her. And I was told, no, you have to do a retrieval application. Submit it to the court, get a date. Now, they were trying to tell me that, the Hague Convention kicks in straight away and you don't have to pay for anything. But I was told that I would have to fly my legal team to England and they would brief their legal team.
That's right.
So that is correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I wasn't too sure I was, Okay, because,
I think there's a legal aid, somebody actually very close to me, not even just in law, went through this similar thing. But it was Lebanon. I was trying to get back from Lebanon, which is very hard. And the problem is that even with the Hague Convention country, you can travel internationally very easily to another country and you can stay there, and that they will never be able to get you back.
Yeah.
And you can go through extreme lengths, and fathers have done that for 5-10 years, and the mothers just stayed there, and nothing's even happened in terms of like police trying to arrest them or anything like that. Like, so it's obviously it's very difficult because you're dealing with an international system. You're not dealing with just the domestic affairs. But if I was a father and my wife went to a Hague country to live there, then I would think that it's going to be very difficult for me to get them back, and it's going to be extremely expensive and long. That's the problem.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think, let's just say the judge did let her go back on 2-week holiday, so that's his decision. He's factored in the Hague Convention, and then she didn't come back. It's crazy how the judge made the decision, it's backfired, but I'm the one that's going to be out of pocket.
Yeah.
Like, let's just say that scenario did go ahead.
Yeah.
I just think, in my eyes, well, that's your fuck up, so you deal with it. I looked up Germany. I have a friend who lives in Germany. With parents split there, it's automatic 50-50. Unless, yep.
50-50?
50-50 straight up.
What,
off the
about
bat.
arrangement or property? Parenting?
Parenting.
Wow.
Yep, straight off the bat. Unless the other parent just doesn't want it.
Okay.
But it's automatic 50-50. I was speaking to I'm not too sure this is true. I mean, he's not one to talk shit, but I was speaking to my Lebanese mate last week. He said in Lebanon, the father gets more rights, you know?
After 7.
After what?
7. After 7 years of age.
After the 7 years, okay. Yeah. So
that's family violence. That's legally speaking, that's family violence, because if you do anything that causes the other party to call the police, then the minute that the police rock up at the house and the children see the police, then that could be classified as a lower level form of family violence. Even if you have a dispute in the house and the children do not hear the dispute because the children are in a different room, but the police rock up as a result of it, that's family violence.
Well, for all the listeners at home that heard that, that's some good, because I just think that's crazy, bro.
How many people have that happened to? Father told me yesterday, the one that is at court, that one.
Yeah.
Is what was my problem with this system? My problem was that I called the police.
Yeah.
I should never have called the police. I was the one that called the police. I called the police to protect me. They came and they took me out.
Yeah. They took me in the middle of the night.
That's what's good about that whistleblower from the police, from QPS. She says
looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, I'll send you the link, and I'll hopefully I can get them on. I've got 2 ex-coppers coming on in January, but she says that one time this female called and they called her. You know, they rocked her to the house and she was claiming this, and they talked to him, and she said she did an investigation, and she actually took her away. You know, and she said, "How can you be taking me away? I'm the one that called the police." And she's like, "Because you're the one that's actually, you know, good on her. You know, she saw it for what it was. But I think it's rare.
Very rare.
It's crazy, bro. Like, you know, I'll put it up when I put my episode. I got the CCTV footage of my ex dog shot at me at Sanctuary Cove, jumps on top of me, kicks and punches me 7 times. I've got my hands up, trying to get away.
Who?
My ex.
Oh, your ex was doing that?
Yeah, I'll show you after this. Yeah, I'll show you.
Wow.
Yeah, bro. Then I got the Uber footage of
punch?
it. Bro, she dog shot at me. I'm standing flat-footed. I took it to Muay Thai, probably the worst mistake. You know? I'm standing flat-footed, and Sean used to train her. And then, yeah, I'll blame Sean. Then I'm standing flat-footed on the phone, and then bro going off. By that point, I don't acknowledge. There's no point doing. Boom, rattles me, jumps on top of me, kicks me 7 times. You clearly see me getting my hands up. Not once did I throw a punch. And you know what? Legally, I could have just thrown an elbow, disengaged. But you know what? You know what would have been in the headlines? Heavily tattooed man assaults female.
Yeah.
You know. So then, when an Uber on the way home, and for people listening, go, well, why would you be in an Uber on the way home? And she just told you, like, this is until you're in this mindset. This is your lover, your partner. You're going back to the same home. Don't judge a man until you've walked him on his shoes. Then
that happened, and then you get into an Uber?
So I leave, I get an Uber. And Sanctuary Cove, it's by myself. It's one way, right? You got to do the full loop. And I drove past her. And I just said, just get in the car. You know, we're going back to the same house. And then, it kicks off again. And she assaults me through Uber again. Now, Melissa, you got to put a DV on her. So I went to a criminal police station. They were all over it. As soon as she assaulted me, I remember the time and the shop I was outside in Sanctuary Cove. I told the police, and he got it straight away. And they were all over it. They're like, yeah, mate, we'll charge her. But because she was living in service at the time, which I paid for, they handballed it to them, and then it just disappeared. You know.
Oh, wait, what happened?
Nothing, bro.
Oh, she was never charged?
No.
That come up in family court?
They came up and, no, they brought up a DV call. They put a DV on it. Obviously, they showed the footage, and her lawyer said, yeah, there's no point fighting this. We accept it. Gave consent or whatever. and I went to Service Police Station asking an update, and the guy, I want to say his name right. I know everyone's name off by heart via that system I went through, and then he said, "Oh yeah, we brought her in for questioning. We showed her the footage. Yeah, she said that you started it around the corner." I was like, "Wait, let me get this straight. Did you show her the footage first and then get her story?" He's like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "I'm no police officer, but I'm pretty sure that's really poor policing. You would get her story first and then watch the footage to see if it lines up. But you've shown her the footage and then given her opportunity to give an excuse that works in favour." So she said, "Oh, it happened around the corner where there's no CCTV."
She's caught red-handed and she has to come up with something.
So she's watched the footage. Well, actually, it happened around the corner. That's why, bro. Like, I just, if that was me, bro, I would have been all over the news.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is that there's such a big atmosphere and cloud of DV
Bro.
around Australia. It's gone too far. Yeah. You can't stop everything. You can't stop everything, and you can't impact the whole country to stop every single occasion.
Yeah.
Because you have worse effects of doing that. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Bro.
the extremes of everything breed the other extremes.
That's right. If you get a full-time contract now, depending where you are, for example, the most recent place I worked, you have, absent leave, parental leave, all the different leaves. There's domestic violence leave now.
Oh, really?
Bro, automatic 10
How
days
long
up,
for?
10 days. So if you work Monday to Friday, that's 2 weeks. So you're actually encouraging, I've got 2 weeks leave there. I just got to pull some DV thing. Christmas time's coming up. Oh, I'll go DV.
Also immigration.
Immigration.
If you're on a visa. And
Right.
then you got DV, you're a victim.
So that's what happened to me. So I worked for Australia Border Force at the time.
Oh, wow.
Bro, yeah, wait for it. I'm on course. They teach me about the loophole in the immigration system. It was taught to me in the Australia Border Force when we were doing all our visa module. They said there's a loophole in the immigration system. People will come to Australia and they have this training video in certain countries like Thailand, Russia and stuff. And when you come to Australia, data show you. If your relationship breaks down, put a DV on straight away and you'll go straight to a protection visa. Now, let's just say the cycle goes, you come on a tourist visa and you got a student visa. Now, if you're on a student visa, you got limitations. So you have to be enrolled in a course, studying and paying and attending. And you can only work 20 hours a week. Now, that's hence why a lot of girls become strippers. My ex was a stripper. Now, so they get paid cash and they make good money. Now, when I told her that, well, together, this was a red flag in itself. She goes, "Oh, yeah, I already know about that. My friend Lauren did it this on." Right? That I should have.
Friend already did that.
Yeah. Now, most guys don't fight DVOs, right? So they just sit on this protected visa for 5 years and they become a permanent resident. Biggest loophole in the system. Now, obviously, when we split, she went in defense. I wasn't trying to kick.
Why does DV make somebody think that they can become an Australian citizen?
Bro.
You know what I mean?
Bro, it's,
Okay, I'm sorry that you're a victim.
Yeah.
I'll give you 10 grand, give you 5 grand.
but that's another thing I didn't know about. They get this $5,000 lump sum.
Yeah.
Bro, here's some incentive.
And they
Bro,
get released.
so I paid 12 months rent up front for my ex when we split. I said, listen, I tried to be as amicable as possible. I know you don't have any family here. I'm going to pick a place of your own. I'll pay 12 months rent up front. Okay, she picked Chevron and Aces out of all places. Fully furnished, 2-bedroom, secure, 33 levels high. Yep. She doesn't work. She goes, transfer me money. I said, no. You know,
If you're that willing to pay for people's rent, by the way, I've got...
right, wait for it. I'm waiting for Australia Border Force at that time. So I sent off my work email direct to the real estate agent because I just said, I'm going to need this for future, right? I said, mate, I'm paying for my ex, the mother of my daughter, and my daughter to go on this lease. It's going in her name. I'm going to pay you 12 months rent up front. That was the only way for me to win the application because the rental market was off through the roof. I said, bro, I'll pay you 12 months rent up front. He goes, yep, sweet. 42 grand. I got all the documents there. I pay it. As soon as I pay it, she goes to the domestic violence registry office at the court. This is something I didn't factor in, I didn't know about. Didn't go to cops, didn't go to lawyers. Rocked up to the DV office, whatever it's called, at the courthouse. Claimed that her life was in danger that day. I'm pretty sure the UK Embassy walked her through this. Claimed that her life was in danger that day. Claimed that my daughter's life was in danger that day. Had to express... I'll tell you the judge's name after this. They call it the Oprah. You know when someone goes on the Oprah show and like, you get a prize, you get a prize. She's like, you get a DVO. Everyone gets a DVO. Stamped it off that day. Went straight to the real estate agent. Showed the temporary protection order that got stamped off on me. And they break the lease and transferred her 35 grand to her account. Yeah.
Transferred her.
And I didn't know, bro, because I thought she was just living there. We didn't get to court till 4 or 5 months later, and they don't live in there. Bro, I had a baby cot package get delivered there, get bounced back. I didn't know why. I'm sending stuff to them, you know?
That's the problem with paying up front, eh?
I initiated child support. Don't get me started on child support. And then they call me back and say she doesn't accept it. I was like, can you put that in writing? Because I don't believe that. Because she was getting this DV payment. You weren't allowed 2 payments at once. Once that ran out, boom, child support. You know, so think about it. You start a job, shit, here's 10 days leave. I'll get 2 weeks off and I'll get a $5,000 lump sum. Shit. Let's do it.
I don't get where the incentive or the perspective, like, I don't get it.
Yeah, it would only go so far, right?
Our Albanese passes a new bill last week, don't correct me on the date, and says your domestic violence is entitled to more assets and puts dog. You're entitled to the dog. It literally says dog, D-O-G.
What do you mean? Oh, the pet?
Yeah. It said you're entitled to the dog. Bro, good luck taking my dog's the only reason I'm still standing today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just the woke culture these days. It's just crazy. Like,
I was watching an interview it was a woman in America, I can't remember what her name was, and she was on, what was that morning show?
Yeah.
And she was like being interviewed, and she was defending fathers, and she was from America, and then the interviewers were just going at her, just criticizing her, things that she was saying, and you could tell in her eyes she was like, "What the fuck did I just walk into? What's this country going on?
Yeah.
Like, why are you guys so extreme with everything?"
That's right.
And the first thing that they say is, "Oh, well, there was a father that killed his wife and his kids a couple. I get it. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's tragic. It's extremely tragic. But you cannot impact everybody to avoid it, because what you do is, rather than avoiding that, you actually make more of that. Because you're breaking families apart. You're putting them into vulnerable situations. You're not respecting the role of a father in the relationship, even as of a mother. Like, a mother and a father should have autonomy over their household. You know what I mean? Like, even in Arabic, it sounds extreme in English, but in Arabic, you've got something called Rabb al-Bayt, which is like the leader of the household. You've got a role for the mother, you've got a role for the father. They're obviously equal human beings and stuff like that, but you've got different roles, you know? For example, a mother and a son, and a father and a daughter, and the relationship that you have, and that is different. Different between a mother and a daughter to a father and a daughter.
Yeah.
And if you don't respect that, like, for example, why do you need a couple minutes for FaceTime? Why is it so important? Like, come on, brother.
Yeah, I know.
Don't you have kids? Like,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean, bro. That's what I feel like saying. Do you have kids? Like, it's just, bro. Oh, man. It's been good. Where are we at now? I want to make sure we don't miss anything.
A really negative sign as well, a concerning sign, is that the family courts tried to improve things, and one thing that they've done that's improved it is introducing senior judicial registrars and judicial registrars. I think that has...
For the listeners at home that might be entering court so they know what to expect, I remember there's certain people that have powers and certain people that don't, right? So registers have certain powers or limited powers?
Yeah, limited. So
limited.
They can make directions.
So
they can't make parenting orders.
Yeah, so I remember going to court one day and it was a learning curve for me. Like, nothing happened because we had a registrar that couldn't make a decision. I just thought, well, fuck, what was today for? Biggest waste of fucking time.
Sometimes, but like, for example, you need someone that's a filler. Like, for example, let's say like you got a lawyer and a paralegal and you can't get a hold of the lawyer on the spot, You need to be able to contact somebody, contact a paralegal. So the registrar, I find that, like, for example, is the paralegal. You're never going to get the legal advice from the paralegal, but you get some progress.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying? And so you won't get in front of a judge that day, but the registrar will say, okay, you file documents within 14 days and you file documents within 28 days. I can make you do that. I can't tell you that these are the parenting orders and these are things, but I can direct you to do things and you have to follow that direction. In that sense, it's good. And in the sense that you have more judicial registrars now that are able to make parenting orders. And so in that sense, it's good. I don't know how it hasn't sped up the system. I don't see how, like, I can see the judicial registrars, I can see senior judicial registrars, I can see that there are more judicial officers, but why hasn't the system sped up? The system's the same speed. Like, it's not getting any quicker. And in fact, you're making it more difficult. You're removing the presumption, for example. The
presumption of innocence?
No, not presumption. So there was a presumption of equal shared parental responsibility, which was at the very beginning, unless there's something that disproves the presumption, then the presumption was that both parents, mother and father, should be able to have long-term a contribution into long-term decisions for their child. Education, medical, religion, things like this. Things that are important. For example, if I'm a Christian and my wife's a Christian and we're practicing Christians, we want to be able to raise our son or our daughter Christian. If you're Muslim,
what I'm saying.
Hindu. You know what I mean? These are important cultural things for people. If you're Aboriginal, you want to be able to teach them like the heritage and the culture and things like that. These are important to people. Maybe if you're not Aboriginal or Indigenous, you won't understand the significance of it. But what they've done is remove that presumption. So now there's no presumption of equal shared parental responsibility. Now you just go in there and it's a level playing field, but instead what it means is that she's benefited because she has the children and you're unfortunately, you don't have that presumption anymore.
Yeah.
So it's not getting worse, it's not getting better.
Yeah.
Where was that mentality? Why did you do that?
Yeah. If I'm not keeping myself busy mentally or physically, and I'm going through a bad time, it's a cocktail for a bad time, right?
Idle mind is the devil's playground.
What's that one?
The idle mind.
The idle mind is the devil's bored mind.
The idle mind is the devil's playground.
That's great because when I could keep myself. So Sean actually put on a fight night for me back when this all started, and I was keeping myself busy mentally and physically when I wasn't at home. But when I went back to the house, empty house, staring at the ceiling, seeing my daughter's room, that's
right.
So that's where my dog come into play big time. You know? Would you agree? Would you agree that the family court's backlogged? I don't think you can. Yeah. And what does that tell you? I mean,
if it wasn't backlogged, they wouldn't be doing triple day.
So where are we going as a country where,
You know where we're going, bro? Maybe you should remove less money from NDIS and put more money into the family law system. Maybe you should invest in the parts of the country which are more important and not be giving people that are on NDIS that don't need it. Many people need it.
There's people right in the system of that.
They're taking hotels and I know people that are extremely integrated into the NDIS system and I've seen how much money has been milked.
Yeah.
Take that and then put it into the family law system. Get more judges, get more judicial officers, get people that are reasonable.
Yeah.
Make it a judicial conduct committee. Like seriously, changing the system. You want to change the system? Get a judicial conduct committee. Judicial conduct committee.
I'm gonna write that down. Judicial conduct committee.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it drags out, especially for fathers. Come back 3-4 months in between what it mentions and whatever it's called, and if you're on supervised and stuff like otherwise, you're just missing out.
Can I give you an example?
Yeah, go.
One right now.
Yep.
I filed an application last week. I thought 100% urgent. There's no chance it's not urgent. I actually did not even think about the possibility of it not being urgent. That's how urgent it is.
Yeah.
Where there was a father that has children. The mother abandoned the children over a year ago, moved interstate, has no FaceTime contact, no supervision contact, no nothing, no care of the children, abandoned the children, moved interstate, yeah? And now the father just passed away unexpectedly. And the mother... So
the grandmother?
No, so he had a first partner.
Yeah.
That first partner, he's back with her. So he's with her, and he has original children from her as well.
Yeah.
And all of those kids live in the same house because then he got with the second one.
Yeah, of course,
and then
makes sense. Yeah.
So they all
So
live
she
in the same
wants
house.
to.
Yeah. So they're like siblings, brothers and sisters of each other, and that's what they've grown up. And always not step siblings or anything like that. These are my brother. This is my sister. You know what I mean? And he just passed away, and the children are here. Then the mother, out of nowhere, says, "Oh no, I want to come back up to Queensland. I want to take my kids and move them back to Sydney. They've never lived there in their life. They don't know anybody there. They don't go to school there. I want to move. I don't even have family there. That mother, I don't have family there, but I want to be in Sydney." And then there's obvious risks that have been enlivened in the material. Obvious, clear-cut risks that if you were to be honest, I think if it was a father, then it would have been urgent. And all contact would have ceased. There would have been urgent orders to make sure that there's no contact and even supervised contact. That's how serious these risks are. And I emailed the court and I said, listen, we need to get this on urgently because I need to prove that this mother, who's a teacher, the one that's caring for her original kids and this other person's kids now, is a teacher, has been a teacher for 20 years, is a perfect, she's taking care of her kids as well as her stepkids, like her exes, the late exes. She's a person that needs blah, blah, blah. The mother has said that I'm taking the kids, I don't care what's happening, I'm taking them back to Sydney, blah, blah, blah. It's urgent, we need to get it on. They said, okay, February 2025.
Wow.
Jeez.
Not February 2025 for a hearing.
Just what's it called? Yeah. We wish nothing will happen.
Correct.
Yeah, that's another thing for listeners out there. If you think something's going to happen on the, what's it called? First return date. And that was a learning curve for me. I go to court thinking something's going to happen. And it's like, nah, first return date, come back on this. And, oh, bro. So what I don't know if you can, where are those kids now? I don't know if you can comment.
They're still in Queensland.
Yep.
And we've written another letter and explained how urgent it is and maybe tried to really put it in bold and underline and italics, make sure that this person sees maybe they missed it, maybe they didn't see you know what I mean?
So that's the date today. That was a week. So that's what, 3 months? February.
Yeah. Well, actually, from last week. Yeah.
Last week. Yeah.
And some of the things that she was saying were just so bad. Like the actual mother, like on social media, we screenshot it, we put it in the material, and I'm like,
Good to hear.
so families here.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
So the issue the mother's gonna have is getting the kids back, but she could call the police, and there could be a police officer that says, okay, well, I want to take the kids back. Then. What do you do? These kids haven't seen their mother in over a year.
There's a guy I had on. He fought 12 years, bro. Back and forth. 12 years. The mother would say no to everything. The mother, correctional officer, met an inmate. The inmate gets out. They start seeing each other. The inmate starts touching up the kids. Right, this back and forth. The bruises. They're blaming it, trying to blame it on him, and vice versa.
Physically, not sexually.
Physically, bashing. You know why he got the kids in there? Because it was 12 years later, the kids got old enough, they kept running away from the mother's house, trying to get to the father. And the cops would come, grab the kids, the mum would come, they have to come back with me, cops would hand them back. And I think this is where it comes, you're going to have different experiences with officers based on common sense and their experience. Are you going to get someone fresh out of recruit school?
Little Connie, they no kids.
No kids? Or you're going to get the senior officer, what happened one day, and the mother come to get the kids, and he saw the bruises, and said, well, hold on a sec, I don't care what the order says, there's bruises all here. You got child safety involved. The kids were old enough to talk. The new boyfriend is bashing us. We want to live with our dad. Okay, then come. And that's how, and then he ended up getting the kids that way. So it really wasn't because of the family court. It was because the kids ran away. Now, how's this? He now has the kids full time. He wasn't going to lower himself to her standard. And he said, he actually reached out to her and said, listen, if you still want to see the kids, I'm happy to see them on the weekend. You know what she says? Nah, don't want to see the kids. So for 12 years, you refuse for the father to see the kids just out of petty and spitefulness, just cause as much pain as possible. And now that he has a kid, it's, oh, well, no, I don't want to see the kids anymore. You know what I mean, bro? Like, how petty? How petty is that?
I offered her mother more property. I said, we'll give you 70% of the pool.
Well, she said no.
She said, yeah. No. I said, we'll give you 70% of the pool. Give it to you. That's all good. He told me behind the scenes, brother, I don't mind. I'll give you 80% of the pool. Which is 80% is but I want my kids.
Yeah.
I want sole parental responsibility. I want her to fuck off. And I want to care for my kids altogether. She was an escort. She was around that kind of stuff. She's not a fit mother.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And I called her. I said, brother, as if she's going to just straight out say yes to that.
Yeah, I know.
He goes, brother, just call her. I said, done. I called her. Hey, listen, this is what we're proposing, blah, blah, blah. Sorry? I said, this is what we're proposing, a larger split of the property pool, but the father will have all decisions for the children altogether. Long term and short term, you will have supervised contact. You can come up to the state and visit them yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy, bro? Like, and you know how passionate fathers, like you guys have come on. I had a father fly up from Sydney. I had a father promote my logo on his car just for free because they're just so passionate because of what's happening, like.
It needs to change.
Bro, it needs to change.
I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe it's this podcast and other podcasts in other states, and maybe people are going to hear about it and people are going to see. But right now, when you have a closed system, nobody hears anything.
No, that's right. And I think, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up I'm doing this I knew when my daughter left, I needed purpose. Well, it's easier said than done. You need purpose. Yeah, fucking no shit, Dr. Dickhead. Easier said than done. But what's that purpose going to be? Training for something, then? And then I was always going to go on my mate's podcast as the veteran one. But then my mate said, you should start your own podcast, talk about family court. No, I was doing it. I was like, you know what, bro? Yeah. And I feel so real. I'll never wear my medal to this country again. They use my service against me when they subpoenaed my military records.
Oh, did they use your service? Did they say you were specially trained and therefore you're a risk?
I'm a trained killer,
How crazy is that, eh?
Yeah.
You served the country.
Right. They thanked me for my service and they used it against me. And remember, every time I did something, I did the course, I did this, they always wanted more. I did a DNA test, give us another one. I'll do this, did it. Always wanted more. Oh, subpoena military records. Now, my military records were squeaky clean. It wasn't until 2018 I got diagnosed with PTSD. And then they said, oh, he was gambling, which I said, yeah, in 2013 I was pokies bad. And there's this stigma that comes with PTSD, right? They weaponize it against it. They should de-stigma it. Oh, PTSD, I'll go in the corner, you're out of service, he's crazy. And that's bullshit. And that's how they weaponize against it. Now, if you look at everything I've achieved the last 10 years...
Were you medically discharged?
No, so I discharged normal, 2012.
Is that like an honourable discharge? Is that what they call it?
They don't have that anymore because it was affecting people getting employment later on, whether you're honourable discharge or
Why?
dishonourable.
Oh, okay.
Because,
Yep,
people
fair
want to see the certificate.
Yep.
But in 2018, I did all my claims, and they said you should have been medically discharged with all your conditions you've got.
Did you get paid off for that?
Yeah. So
Discharge?
they
a lot of money.
Yeah, a lot of money,
and they pay you consistently.
And guess
as
what?
well.
They come up in court. I won all his DVA money.
Sorry.
Yeah, so that's something she brought up in family.
She wanted your what?
DVA, the Department of Veterans Affairs. Any money you got paid out, I want it. Take, give. Every time we go to court, that's family court, supposed to be about a child. I'm talking about my daughter. She's talking about money.
One of my clients got 300 grand for a medical discharge and still being paid regularly.
Yeah, is the ex trying to take it?
She is the one that got medically discharged, and she was the one that thing. But so the ex was trying to take it. The man was trying.
Yeah. Well, there's this.
Funny how things happen. Eh?
Yeah.
But there's this thing I want to address. I'll tell you once we're off coming, but I'm going to get this man specifically to tell it because he's going to come on. And if I tell it, I'm giving veterans a heads up, but I'm also telling the other side what they're entitled to. It's just crazy. I don't know if it's legislation. Where are we going with that?
Heaps of money.
Bro.
Like one of them was an administrative officer, and she saw a dummy grenade or maybe a real grenade or something like that go off.
Yep.
Nobody was actually
Killed.
permanently harmed or killed. And yeah, just a lot of money.
I'll give you another example of people milking the system so people don't just think I'm bagging at the court system. People will go to Kapuka, where you do your basic training. They'll go there 2 days. Oh, PTSD.
Are you joking?
Yeah, bro. There's one guy.
You get paid out for that?
People are just trying to put in claims to get a free meal ticket. Someone's claiming. See, when I was in the army, DVA, you didn't even mention DVA. It wasn't a thing. You did not suck the gentleman there in the top left corner when he hung himself. He surrounded himself with the letters from DVA knocking him back. He surrounded himself with his medals. He wrote a suicide letter, strapped it to his chest, hung himself with his toggle rope, and when the cops come, they seen the letter. Now, he would have just been another deaf veteran swept under the carpet. Because of that letter he wrote, there was a big Senate inquiry. He was talking about he was seeking help from DVA for a long time. They knocked him back.
Who was he seeking? DVO?
DVA. The Department of Veterans Affairs.
Oh, okay.
So he had all the letters from DVA knocking him back and not giving him support. His partner at the time, ex-partner, took it to court, and there was a big Senate inquiry. Now, a lot of people don't think this, but he was a big turning point for that big inquiry for DVA. And I'll say now, DVA, you didn't fuck with him back then. You didn't even say that. Now they're looking after veterans, including myself. They are. They've turned the way around. And sorry for any veterans that aren't getting looked at, but I will say that. I'm not trying to blow smoke up their ass, but they are. They've turned it around.
Since 2018. And because of him?
Yep.
He was the...
In my opinion, so he was the reason there was a big Senate inquiry. I'll Google, I'll show you his name after his Google, it will come up. Big guy. That's the terminology, Senate inquiry. Well, there's inquiry, investigating. Senate inquiry. I think that's the terminology.
So what's your, are you, for example, more Aussie background? Or are you, for example, me personally?
Yeah.
Born here?
Yeah.
Lebanese descent? I'm very traditional.
Bro, so it's interesting you ask this time. So I'm Australian. I was a very patriotic person up until I got to the family court. Now I don't wear my medal. I'm selling my medals. I will never wear them again. I regret my services. I'll always pay my respect. Anzac Day.
Regret your services?
Yeah, because they use it against me in court. Once I squashed everything, they said, I got corrected for using the word stripper in court. Dancer, Mr. Purcell. But they were happy to use trained killer in court. Australian Defence Force doesn't even use that terminology. So why do you get to get away with using that trained killer? He was a weapons instructor overseas. And, were you a weapons instructor? Yeah, of course I was. What's that do with anything? Oh, do you have guns at home? Yeah, of course I do. Oh, so you're training what? I'm training weapons. Well, I don't understand what. I know what they're trying to do, but
make you a better father,
bro.
It's like Taken, for example. Imagine
Taken, right,
Nielsen.
bro. But this what your threat. You know what I hate? Your threat. So that's doing private contracting there. Like those photos there. That's in doing the Australian Embassy. Those two guys I'm with. That's in the Australian Embassy in Kabul, in front of that Prada there, Peugeot. They say, oh, your threat looking after your daughter. So let me get this right, because I had PTS. There's PTSD, I'll be able to PTSD, but they diagnosed me with PTSD. So they say, oh, you're a risk to your daughter. Really? I used to look after DFAT employees, regional security advisors, ambassadors, just like hundreds of other blokes did. And we did a good job. Our job was to catch a bullet. We're a bullet catcher. These people looked after. No emotional connection. I didn't care about them, but I had a job to do and we did it. We protected them. And we did a good job. Insert my daughter, who I love, I will move mountains for. Fucking oath, I will protect her. But you're saying I'm a threat to them? Yeah, I'm a threat. If you touch my daughter, I'll show you what a threat is. Just like any other father would.
Mm-hmm.
But they say, oh, you're a threat. Like, I just could not get over the endless. I squash something, move on to the next one. Squash it. Oh, we'll subpoena your military records. Oh, multiple deployments in combat. And I just thought.
I heard a saying from Jordan Peterson. He said,
yeah, he's
a
good.
real man is one that has the capacity for violence,
But he's ready.
refrains from it.
Use it when you need it.
Yes.
Correct, yeah. I love him. He's awesome.
If you don't have the capacity for violence, if you're, for example, in the street with your family and your kids and somebody tries to punch on and you can't punch on because you don't know how to fight, that's not, like, do you think that's good?
No. When I'm with my daughter, I'm the biggest teddy bear. I'll wear the pink, I'll let her paint my nails, I'll wear the pink bag, whatever. But you touch my daughter, you'll see the dark side. You know, just like any father, that's, I'm always ready. Yeah, I'll show you a photo. I know who you're talking about. Yeah, bro, that's all bullshit, bro. Like that typical. In ABC, bro, they still can't own up to they're tippy-toeing around the apology. Like, it's just.
I saw they had
And-
edited the video.
Yeah, they did, and they won't. They give. Oh, we acknowledge that there's some edits, but they won't say sorry. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. That's Australian media organisation. That's not Russia. That's not China. That's Australian journalists, Australian media organisations throwing veterans on the bus. It's bro. These days, veteran, it's fucking shit to be a veteran these days.
You're getting paid and they're taking care of you and all that.
Oh yeah, so DVA taken care of now, but like in regards to
Family court.
family court used against it in the media, throw you under the bus. I mean, there's
They use it on everything, bro. They even use it with criminal. If you commit even a small offence, they'll say, "Oh, you're trained."
trained. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll tell you that there's a judge there's a lawyer on the Gold Coast. Where's my wallet? It's in the car. I've wrote it down on that. I'll tell you after. He hates veterans. And I got a veteran mate that overheard him one time saying, fuck him, he's a veteran, or he gets what he deserves. Well, for whatever he hates veteran, I don't know. I've never met the bloke personally, but there's some people that just have it out for veterans. He's Aussie, I think, this guy. Yeah, I'll get his name written on my wallet. I'll tell you after. Bro, I tell you, every time I went to court, anyone that represented my ex, I'd take their name down because you're playing a part in separating my daughter. And people can read that. That's not a threat. I just want to know who's playing a part in separating me from my daughter because you guys got no idea.
That's one thing about family law as a lawyer, though. Family law, unlike criminal law, family law, you're always going to have people hate you because you're always going to represent
someone on the other side. Yeah,
you're always going to have people hate you.
How's that for you?
One guy told me, just goes back a little bit, but he goes, bro, this guy was just trashing you, bro. He was running you down, saying you're a shit cunt, you're this, that, blah, blah, blah. This guy had used his own son as a human shield in front of police officers that drew their weapons on him and grabbed his son and pulled him in front of him and used him as a human shield.
Yeah.
And this dog didn't mention nothing like that to anybody.
Yeah,
just,
of course.
Oh, he ran me through the court system. Brother, why don't you just say that one incident everything else you've done?
Yeah, that's right.
And then see whether or not even his son didn't want to. His son, when he wanted, so it got to a point after about a year and a half where the son was in the court and he, the father wanted some time, so they gave him half an hour in the registry. Yeah, the son was running away.
Yeah, wow.
Do you know what I mean? Like you've caused trauma.
Yeah,
So you're always gonna have people hate you, and you kind of get used to it. To be honest, criminal law, like that, you think people look at the people I represent and go, "Oh, that's really."
So first question I ask, the same question to everyone that comes on. Any advice for fathers, knowing what you know now, would you have changed anything during the court process?
Some advice would be fathers' perspectives are not always consistent with the court's perspective, and sometimes you have to keep in mind who you're in front of and play the long
game, unfortunately.
Yeah, and then once you get past that interim stage, things get better. It's just the beginning stage.
Yeah.
If you can get past that and you can do what you need to do
and that's a hard thing. You have to learn. I'm an impatient person, but I had to learn patience because, like they said, it's a long game. You have to get these little wins to get momentum. And how do we change the system? Man, that's a hard one.
I think that one.
Yeah.
Judicial conduct.
Yeah, I've read that. Judicial Conduct Committee. And I'll best explain that like someone that overviews the referees in NRL. If they make a bad decision, they need to be held accountable, get retraining.
And you don't need to, it's not a hypothetical. You're not just coming up with like, go look at America, see how they've done it.
Yeah, so they've got that in place there, right?
They have that in place, yeah. In most states. and they have also power to be able to discipline. There are disciplinary proceedings. They're closed behind the scenes and things like that. And I don't know the extent of their powers and what they can do in terms of like whether they can fire a judge. I've heard from people that they can. Because I was involved in an international case recently where we were dealing with UK barristers and US barristers. And they were just telling me about their systems and so on and so forth and what was happening. UK, I don't think has the committee. The US does, and it seems to be working. If there's an issue, if anybody's got a concern, you go to the conduct committee. In this case, do you know who you go to if you have a concern with the judge? Guess who you go to? If you have a concern with the judge, who do you think you go to?
I didn't think you could go to anyone. I just thought they were just two.
Go to the judge.
Really?
You have to tell the judge. You have to make an application to that same judge to say, listen, this is why I want you to recuse yourself from my case.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. There you go.
So how often is that going to happen? You know who your viewers, if you're interested in DV magistrates and magistrates that have a strong backbone and fight for people that need it, you should look at he's not always you look at Magistrate Kilner. Magistrate Kilner, who was based in Beenleigh, I think he's retiring or retired. He came back. He will look at a system, he will look at a case, and he will be fair in his judgment of it. And there's actually, if you just Google his name and you type in, for example, travesty of justice, that was one of his quotes. That this is a travesty of justice, not what our system was created for. And he was talking about cases and things like that. Yep. And you can go through it and you can see what people like. We need more magistrates, I think, like that.
How do you spell his name?
Kilner.
Kilner.
Yeah.
Sweet.
He's sometimes you got to be careful with your submissions and things like that. He's a nice magistrate, he's a good guy, he's fair. But when it comes to domestic violence, I think he's very fair.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, third question. It's a funny one. You're in prison, you're on death row. The guard comes and asks you what you want for your final meal, drink, and dessert.
I knew my answer before you asked the question.
Bro, I'll tell you something funny. I'll tell you something now, bro. And you'll anyone watching me or my mates know that they back me on this one. My mum, and you'll be like, nah. But my mum makes the best baklava. My mum's Aussie, bro. And I've been to Greece and Lebanon. I'm telling you, bro, my mum makes the best baklava. And next time you're here, my mum brings some down. I'll bring some to you. And
Sydney?
Nah, she's here. She's up in Ipswich.
Yeah, you know you're not from Sydney, but I still
everyone thinks I'm Sydney. I know, bro.
Just in my
everyone thinks I'm from Sydney.
He does that, doesn't he? It gives it.
Yeah.
I swear, we were walking past somebody in the street, and I didn't even know the guy, bro. We were literally just walking past, and with my paralegal, when we were walking, I was, "Hey, you're from Sydney, bro?" And he looks at me and goes, "You too, eh?"
Bro, everyone thinks I'm a bikie. That guy brought up in court. Oh, he's a bikie. Like, everyone thinks I'm a bikie. Just heavily tattooed, whatever. All right, what are we getting to eat and drink?
Bolognese.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Garlic.
Everybody knows me.
Bolognese.
Knew that answer before.
Garlic in it. Garlic in
I
it.
could do some garlic. Yeah. Some cheese on top. Just some cheese. Bolognese fettuccine.
Garlic bread or?
Yeah, garlic bread. Oh, cracker.
What about drink?
Drink is...
You eating a wine? Nah.
I think we're going Pepsi for a spaghetti.
Pepsi or Pepsi Max?
Pepsi Max.
Yeah, you can't do Pepsi Max. I love Pepsi Max.
And then for dessert, what did you say? Sponge cake?
You going Lebanese sweet or you going traditional?
I think that, but the viewers aren't going to know it. It's called Judicial Sit, which is this, it's like I don't even know how to pronounce it, spell it in English, but it's like, I don't even know what it's made of. It's like cheesy kind of thing. It's like this string and you can use it with a fork and
Bro, what's Gnefe?
Knafe.
Oh, bro. What is that again?
Have you had knafe?
Bro, 100%.
It's cheesy as well, and then you pull it, and then you can see the cheese.
Bro,
like
yeah. 3-4 in the morning, Lebanon, we go past the place, I'd get it, yeah.
Oh, knafe. Turkish knafe, I got to say, as a Lebanese person, Turkish knafe is actually better.
Really? Yeah, I didn't know the Turks did it.
They do it, and they make it a little bit different, so you got to try the Turkish knafe.
I'll try that one.
Yeah, it's very nice.
The last one, I didn't even ask you have kids, but anyway, you don't have to answer. You can if you want. Can hit emotional. I get emotional when I did this one for me. But mate, if there's any message for your children now, years to come, they can look back, see this on the platform. Dated December 2024. There's a message for your children. You can leave it here for them, mate.
I can't wait until I do have kids. I had a son that passed.
Yeah, I wasn't too sure. Oh, fuck, bro, really?
Yeah. But he was just born.
Fuck, bro. I'm so sorry, man.
So I look forward to the day that I do have kids. I'm married, and we want to have kids as soon as possible. But right now, that happened back in 2019.
Fuck, bro. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
So when I see like fathers and stuff like that, I'm very, I don't know if jealous is the right word.
Yeah.
But I really can't wait until I see that. All of my family have kids, for example, and everyone, I'm just the last one. So
I'm big on trying to find the positive in the negative, and I hate to. How do I word this? I'm not trying to. It's like, yeah, my daughter's gone, but she's alive, and I'm not trying to. I try and find, I shouldn't be. I try and find the positive in the negative, and there's always someone that's going to be doing it worse, So I'm sorry for that, bro, and I hope you've healed and your partner's healed, and I couldn't imagine that process. Yeah, it's yeah. Before we wrap up, if you're big on social media, if people want to reach out to you, maybe for work, or some people say nothing. Some people, I'm sure there's fathers watching going, "What's your name, bro? We're gonna reach out to you."
Name's Torik Dib, man.
Torik Dib.
I'm always open to you guys. If you ever need any help, even if it's not a client, you just need some quick advice.
Yep. And what's your name's, if the case you're wondering how you spell your name, it's Torik, surname Dib, D-I-B, and the law firm is called
Dib and Associates, D-I-B and Associates.
Dib and Associates. On behalf of the podcast, mate, I'd like to thank you both for coming on.
Thank you for inviting us.
I think all the listeners, I appreciate it, but I think all the listeners are going to appreciate it more, especially coming from a broken father, but also getting some legal advice. And Torik, mate, appreciate what you're doing, fighting for the fathers as well. And mate, I wish you nothing both but good fortune and good positive energy moving forward in the future, mate.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on. Thank you, brother. Cheers.